The Sonic movie.
Meow?
What the hell? Much better. We all have heard the news by now that the Sonic movie is getting a sequel. However, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then allow me to explain. It was announced that the Sonic movie 2 was greenlighted by Paramount and Sega. But during this pandemic at the moment, we don't really know what the film will be about. So, I'm going to tell you what I think should happen in the film, and I'll throw in some character moments as well. But I should mention, if you have not seen the first film, there will be spoilers, so I suggest going to grab a big bucket of popcorn, jumping on any streaming service, or buy the film, and give it a watch. I do recommend it. You can check out my review with James Red Guy 5 in the description down below. So, you have been warned. So, let's start off with the story, because that's the most important part of every movie. So, picture this for the opening. So, for the opening of the film, it obviously gets past the logos and everything. It opens with a more movie-accurate version of Mushroom Hill Zone. I know that Mushroom Hill Zone looks like giant mushrooms, but it doesn't look anything like the games. I mean, look at Green Hill Zone. It looked brilliant just like the games. So why can't Mushroom Hill Zone look exactly like the games? Well, anyway. Then we see a Flicky fly down from a mushroom tree and sees some seeds. As he starts to eat the food, it gets trapped by a weird contraption made of wood and stone. Then Robotnik steps out of the shadows looking a little different from the last time we saw him due to him being stuck on the mushroom planet at the end of the first film. Now, he's now fat. Now, most people know if you saw the first film, Robotnik wasn't exactly round. I mean, sure, near the end of the film, he had the goggles, he had the big mustache, he had the red coat, he had pretty much everything. But his round physique was not really mentioned. But here, I just wanted to include Eggman's roundness because that's part of the character. And of course, if you're wondering, how is Eggman fat? Well, I thought of the idea of him eating the mushrooms and they give him an allergic reaction, making kind of his body fat or something. I don't know. Also, his suit is incredibly more ripped now, and he lives in a giant mushroom because he's lost his insanity. Well, anyway, he then places the Flicky in a machine that he's been working on, which is made out of like scrap parts of his ship, which has crash landed in the mushroom planet, and he managed to grab some supplies from it. And he also has it powered by Sonic's quill. And the Flicky is forced to fly while being hooked up to the machine. This is obviously a reference to what Robotnik does with animals. He puts them in the badniks, and they power his army. However, Robotnik in this is trying to get back to Earth, to obviously get revenge on Sonic. However, the machine backfires and the Flicky escapes. Robotnik is annoyed by this and kicks his machine, and he is about to throw it off a cliff before he picks up an energy reading. He follows it to a giant broken tree, a mushroom tree, and on the inside, he digs it up and finds a yellow emerald. Robotnik then does a bit of research on it, and calls it a Chaos Emerald because of its chaotic powers. He then puts it in the machine and it seems to work. Meanwhile, back on Earth, in a government base, Agent Stone is in the doctor's lab. It's a different lab, by the way, it's not the same one from the first film. And he is upset with no trace of the doctor since he disappeared. I also wanted to include Agent Stone a little bit more in this film because he just kind of disappeared near the end with no trace whatsoever. Suddenly, a portal opens up in the base, and Robotnik steps forward, swapping one of Agent Stone's lattes for the actual stone. I saw some fan art of this, and I just thought it'd be a really funny thing. And as soon as Robotnik drinks it, he tosses it aside and says, "It's good to be back." And then, the movie title. So that's good for the opening so far. It might be a bit too much, but hey, it explains it. It gets it all out of the way. So we know that Robotnik escapes and everything. And then we get more into the action. So, then we cut to Green Hill Zone. or Green Hills, Montana, as Sonic gives us a monologue on how his life is now way past cool. Yeah, he literally says that in the film. Now being the town hero, he plays baseball with his friends, helps cats down from trees, like Superman. He also helps raccoons, despite Tom's not liking towards them, and tortoises as well. Then it also shows Tom, Sonic, and Maddie watching a movie. I don't know, maybe The Matrix, since the last one had speed with Keanu Reeves, so yeah, maybe Sonic has a liking towards Keanu Reeves, who knows. And then we cut to the next day as we see Crazy Carl see a two-tailed fox and reports this to Tom and Sonic with an even more terrible drawing of Tails, which would be a nice callback to the first film. Tom says they'll keep an eye on Out, much to his displays, and tells Sonic to be careful. Then it shows Sonic running down a highway when suddenly Tails comes out and tries to talk to the hedgehog. Sonic, of course, thinks that he's trying to take his powers, and runs off only to be caught off guard that Tails can keep up with him. Sonic runs to Tom and Maddie and tells them that he must leave because they have found him. Tom realizes this and enters the garage again with the tranquilizer gun and sees Tails and tries to shoot him. But Tails misses, and this would be a fun callback to the first film, and explains why he's here. And that he's here to find Sonic and warn him about a power crisis caused by 7 magic emeralds. Tails then shows that he has one of them already, and that the power is heading to Earth, and that he needs his help. Sonic is not interested at first, until Tails brings up about how he was sent to Earth thanks to an owl named Longclaw. Sonic is surprised that Longclaw is still alive, and decides to go with Tails. And Tom agrees to come along, not only to keep an eye on Sonic, but also Tails, since Tom's subplot in the film will have him not being trusting to Tails. He doesn't trust him. They head into Green Hills, and Tom puts Wade in charge, even though he has no idea what to do first. However, they hear explosions and see giant robots, which they are the same ones from Sonic 06, by the way. I think they would fit perfectly. And the robots are taller than Tom, and then they see a small ship approaching. It opens the cockpit to see Robotnik, who's dressed more like the games, by the way, in this now. Now with the red iconic jacket, goggles, and gloves. He has white gloves now. Tails asks who is he, and Sonic replies, a crazy madman named Eggman with a big bushy mustache. He then orders all of his robots to destroy Sonic and Tails, and Tom. Tom gets hit into a shop, and Sonic manages to destroy the robots with ease. And so does Tails. Robotnik retreats into a portal thanks to the Chaos Emerald that he has with him. And now Tom, Sonic, Tails, they journey into Sonic's world to find the other 5 emeralds before Robotnik does. And that's really it for the entire story. It's simple but enjoyable. I decided to have the idea of Robotnik and Tails already having an emerald because it would make it a little bit more easier. And also, the runtime won't be extended too long. Because you don't want it to be as long as Endgame, that's for sure. But now we're going to go on to the characters. Honestly, I think it would be cool to see Tom in Sonic's world. I mean, it would be cool seeing him experience all of Sonic's culture and everything. But anyway, let's talk about the old characters first before going into the newbies. So first of all, there's our blue main boy himself, Sonic. Now, he would be more confident and heroic, and still childish like how he was in the first film. I know that some people had a bit of a problem with Sonic in the first because he was more of a child than actually the Sonic we know from the games. So I think it would be a cool idea because after, the battle with Robotnik, it would make him a bit more confident and he uses his powers to help people out. That would be a really good idea, I think. Just like what Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility, right? Anyway, on to Tom. Tom would still be himself, he'd still be funny, still great. However, he goes through a subplot in the film of him not trusting Tails. Obviously, because Tails shows up, he tells Sonic about this world, and Tom doesn't trust him. As for Maddie, well, she doesn't get much to do in this until the end, which I won't spoil. But, yeah. Then there's Wade and Crazy Carl. They're just the citizens of Green Hills, Montana. I mean, Wade does have he looks after everyone in Green Hills, and Crazy Carl is obsessed trying to catch Tails. Then there's Robotnik, who would still be the villain. He would be the main villain, looking more like the games, and him having a base in the Mushroom Hill Zone with a new set of badniks which look more like the ones from the games. As for Agent Stone, he has more to do, as he's more than just Eggman's assistant in this. He's also in charge of the badnik orders, so think something similar to Snively from the SatAM show. As for Longclaw, well, she only appears in one scene before the final battle. Now, that's all the oldies out the way. Time we talk about the newbies. Of course, let's talk about the main boy, Tails. Tails will have a lot of great moments in the film, as he will also share the screen with Sonic. And not only will he be a kind of character to introduce Sonic and Tom and everyone and the audience to a whole new world. Think of it as like the Iron Man post-credit scene with Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, but as like Tails, and yeah. And then there's Amy Rose. Yes, I know. I'm very aware that Amy appeared in Sonic CD, and this is Sonic 2 adaptation, but come on, if they'd introduced Amy here, I think it would be a cool idea. Maybe combining CD and the second one's story. Because I think it would be an amazing idea. Maybe Amy can join them later on in the story and help them look for the emeralds. Amy would still be, obviously, fangirl, but it would be toned down a little bit. Think something like Isabella from Phineas and Ferb. I just think that would be adorable and really funny as well. Okay, now we have a character who, I'm gonna be honest, I was so annoyed who was not in the first film, and who will be incorporated into the final battle of the film. Metal Sonic. Now, most of you have, or maybe have heard or seen, my theory on Metal Sonic being in the first film. As you have seen, I was wrong. But maybe there's a chance. Maybe he'll be in the film. And in this, he'll be a kind of last-minute inclusion in the third act, where he fights Sonic, and he'll be called Hyper Metal Sonic in this. And he's powered, of course, by the quill that Robotnik had at the end of the first film. That would make sense, right? Since it's got unlimited amounts of power. Okay. Now I know what people are going to ask. I've talked about Longclaw, Sonic, Robotnik, and everybody else. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. The Echidna tribe. So, I have an idea for them in the film, that they will play a bit of a bigger role. What if Robotnik makes a deal with them, that they can have the Hedgehog's quills for themselves as long as they get the emeralds for Robotnik? And Sonic defeats them, causing them to fall into a warp ring that sends them to an unknown location. And at the credits, it reveals Knuckles wanting revenge for the clan's death, which would tie into a third film. Now, that would be amazing, to be honest. Seeing Knuckles in a third film, but also the clan as well, because we get to see a little bit more of them, and Sonic, Tails, Tom, and Amy will be able to take them on. And it would be cool to see that idea. And also, yeah, so now we have the final battle. Now, this is where things all lead in together, with Super Sonic versus Hyper Metal Sonic. That's what I'd like to see. And also the Death Egg. I mean, think about it. Robotnik builds the Death Egg during half the time when the Echidna tribe will be kind of a growing threat as Sonic and the gang have to defeat them. And Robotnik uses all 7 Chaos Emeralds to power the Death Egg. Of course, when Sonic uses their energy to destroy Hyper Metal Sonic, the Death Egg obviously shuts down, it goes in through a portal, and boom, lands on Angel Island. Now that would be a good movie, come on, raise a hand. So, anyway, that's my idea for a Sonic movie sequel. So let me know down below in the comments, what would you like to see in a sequel? And how would you do it? So, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys.